the practice, Zen practice, including Zazen, over time needs to become constant, sustained, not just something that we go into and out of. This is an important part of our maturing practice. Now, for the next few days, we have a precious opportunity to really dive in intensively to practice together, morning, noon, and night, with our body, with our breath, and with our mind. Today, I would like to focus on what is called Bodhicitta, literally Bodhi, awakening, like in Bodhisattva, an awakening being. Bodhicitta. Citta simply means something like the mind, but it has many other meanings as well. Simply put, bodhicitta is arising a mind of awakening, a mind often translated a mind to awaken, but it's better to say a mind of awakening, because you're not going toward something, going to some awakening. Rather, we are, however imperfectly, coming from awakening. This is the initial resolve, this very first decision, determination, being determined to practice the way. You may know there are these interesting expressions in Mahayana Buddhism. For example, the moment one arouses this bodhicitta, this mind of awakening, full awakening has already been realized. It's important to deeply understand the real meaning there. But it is, in a sense, the real beginning of practice. It's also the middle of the practice, and it's also the end of the practice. To awaken, to rouse, to bring up this mind, this elan vital, this awakened energy. To awaken, even better, of awakening, of awakening. Very simply, there are two parts that we can speak of in terms of bodhicitta. One is letting go, dropping our delusions, our self-delusions. Bodhicitta means letting go of our self-centered delusions. The other point is, it is also a matter of great compassion, love for all beings. It's not just about me. So these two parts are essential in rousing this mind of awakening, this bodhicitta in Sanskrit. In the beginning, naturally, we may tend towards one. I want to get rid of all of my delusions. I'm not so clear about everybody else, but I want to get rid of my delusions. But if we are practicing properly, these two become one. You realize that in order to really let go of our own delusions is love, compassion for all beings. Don't be lazy, but don't hurry either. You will see. These are two sides of the same coin, so to speak. Very simply, be open in your practice. You may have read a lot and heard a lot and thought a lot about what this awakening, this bodhicitta is. This is a good time to forget it all. Just forget it all. Pretend you never even read it or heard it or thought about it. Drop it, and don't pick it up again. To be really open. What is your actual experience? Not what you read in some book. What is your actual experience? Open up. Be sincere, honest, and be humble. Be humble. Humility. If you are like this in the practice, this is bodhicitta, blooming, so to speak, flowering. If you look around in spring, flowers popping up all over the place. Ivan in Brazil, excuse me, you're in the southern hemisphere, so I guess you're heading off into autumn now, huh? But for most of us, spring is popping up all over, little flowers all over. If you are open, honest, sincere, and humble in your practice, it is unavoidable. It is unavoidable. You can't escape it. This arousing of the mind, of awakening. It may take some time. Be patient, but not lazy. Proper practice shows us that this initial decision, determination, yes, it is a matter of will. That's right. Yes, it's not just going to happen. The patterns that you have been going around in all of your life, the delusions that you have been feeding, they don't just disappear because you want them to. You have to apply yourself. This is a part of the initial bodhicitta, arousing, making a real decision. I am not going to spend the rest of my life living in delusions, hurting myself and others. I cannot do this. I must live truly, honestly, sincerely. I must live reality, not some self-made dream. Yes. And then to continue, to maintain, to sustain that throughout the day, throughout the night, not just in your zazen. If you are doing it properly, in time, you see that it's not simply a matter of will. I'm going to beat this thing. I'm going to be stronger than my old patterns and myself. No, it is the ground itself supporting us in the practice. The universe itself is supporting us in our practice, isn't it? Isn't it? When you really come home to that fact, which is just another part of bodhicitta, when you really come home to that, there is no hindrance. There is no hindrance, something that gets in the way. Yes, you may still be sleepy. You may still be hungry. You may still have pain. Your mind may wander sometimes. But none of this is a hindrance. It does not get in the way anymore. The hindrance is simply you banging against the wall of yourself. Proper practice shows us the way through, with patience, as I said, to be open, honest, sincere, and humble, and patient. Patience is another virtue. You will see in time, soon enough, what it is to practice from the ground itself, to let the ground practice you. There is no real hindrance there. Proper practice is not simply rooted, grounded in self-will. You must confirm this for yourself. Do you see, do you realize what your mind is doing? Do you see, do you realize here and now what your mind is doing? If you do, you cannot help but rouse this mind of awakening. There is nothing else, There is nothing else. You cannot help but rouse this mind of awakening, with joy, knowing that this is what is real and what is true. Yes, there may be some pain along the way, but there's a much deeper joy, a vital energy that carries us through, that nothing can stop. I urge you, by practicing properly with body, with breath, with mind, to confirm this for yourself. 40 years ago, I went to Japan to live and train in the monastery, a real Rinzai training monastery. 3 in the morning till 10:30, 11 at night, 50-minute, not 15, 50-minute period, 10-minute break, 50-minute period, 10-minute break. And for years, it was a matter of sitting there and often just waiting for that damn bell to ring so that I could get up, go to the bathroom, and come back and do it again. At one point, I felt maybe for the rest of my life, it's going to be like this. Maybe for the rest of my life, I am just going to struggle in pain like this. But from out of the depths of my practice came, so be it, so be it. Bernhard, would that need to be interpreted into German? So be it.
So sei es.
Thank you.
So
Somewhere out of the depths of my being, so be it. And guess what? With that, the practice became much easier. The wall that I was banging against was not there. Was not there. Please be careful, Please be careful. Just because you get to the point where the practice suddenly becomes easier, perhaps completely without effort, that is not the end of practice. That doesn't mean you're done. That is a very good place to really begin, to truly begin. but it is an important moment in the practice where we might say the self-will banging against itself suddenly opens up to its real ground, source, basis. The practice takes a turn. Yes, it's not the end, not at all. But it is a good way to practice properly and to get to the end of this. Because you see, don't you? This banging against the wall of yourself, this is the difficulty of practice. This, sitting in zazen, is the simplest thing in the world. It's not even one. This is not the difficulty. Don't make that fatal mistake, as so many have. The zazen, the practice is too difficult, too painful. No, it's not. Your mind is. Face it. Face it. That is bodhicitta. Realizing that the only hindrance is your own self. There is no other hindrance. When you see that, again, the practice takes a turn in a very good way. It can be helpful to have a stubborn guide along with you, huh? Perhaps even more stubborn than you are. However, the essential work, the real work, needs to be done by each and every one of us. It's obvious, isn't it? It's clear. No one can do this for you. Stick with it. Stick with it. With the zazen itself, with the breath itself, with a koan, if you are working on a koan. Stick with it until the very end, and then continue on from there. Stick with it until the practice becomes seamless. Seamless, you know, the seam of a clothing, what holds it together. There's not one gap. It is seamless. Whether you are sitting, you get up, you eat, you go to the bathroom, you do whatever needs to be done. This is simply bodhicitta. The mind of awakening at work. And then the mind of awakening returning again to the seated posture. Not beginning the practice again, but continuing it once again in the seated posture. It comes to be constant, seamless, without a break. Again, this is not the end of practice, but it is a way of really nourishing, maturing the practice. It's not a hobby, please. It's not a hobby. It's got to be the way we are. Then we can forget it. I can honestly say, love what you're doing. Love that practice. Yeah, it may be painful at times. I haven't counted, Bernhard, have you? Are we sitting, what, 10, 15 hours a day? Whatever. If you stand for 8 hours, you will have some pain. We have a body. It comes with the territory. We are not here to torture ourselves, but we are not here to just sit as comfortably as possible. If you want to do that, lie down and go to sleep. Don't pretend to practice. We sit this way for a very good reason, not to torture ourselves. This is the posture that is best for what we are doing. Giving all of ourselves, open, sincere, humble, patient, the very bodily posture is a part of that. We are sitting in a way that keeps us clear, directed, focused, but not tight, not unnaturally tight. It can take some time, but you find the best posture for your body. Again, no one can show you that. I can show you half lotus, full lotus, sitting on a seiza bench, sitting in agura, as we say in Japanese, or Burmese style with your legs flat on the ground, sitting in a chair, not leaning against the back, many, many ways. But you, with your body, have to go through it and find out. This doesn't work. Okay, don't move during the zazen, but the next period, try another. Find a cushion that maybe is a little bit thicker or a little bit thinner. This can really help. You have to find out. You should also do some kind of stretching, especially if you are getting older. Stretch, take a hot bath before you sit. Find out how to do it. The only way to do that is to do it. To do it. Find out. Try different postures. Find out the posture that shows you this joy, this great comfort and ease. Yes, Zazen is actually described as the way of great comfort and ease. What? Well, yes. Find out for yourself. It really is. But you have to go through that with your own body. Don't torture yourself, but don't indulge in mere comfort, creaturely comfort either. Find the posture, back naturally erect, that is best for your body and that allows you to continue this practice so deeply that when you get up, it doesn't end. It simply continues now, walking, doing what needs to be done. I won't go through the details for physical posture, the breath, and the mind or the mental attitude during Zazen. I have gone over this many times in Dharma talks. If you need help with that, we can either be in touch directly or you can look at one of the Dharma talks or read one of the transcript Dharma talks on our website. What is important here and now is when you get to that point where the ground itself supports you, you realize, you open up to the fact that the whole universe is supporting you in your practice. Your practice doesn't weaken then, it doesn't become weak, it becomes infinitely stronger because there's nothing hindering it, nothing opposing it. There's no opposing position. It doesn't weaken, it becomes boundless, a boundless reserve of vital energy. And then we see how to apply that both in our practice and in our daily life. Even more practically, over the years, I believe it was about 10 years ago, I was giving Dharma talks on exhortations, kind of warnings, exhortations for those who do rouse the doubt. This is a short Zen text that I translated from a Ming Dynasty Chinese Zen master 350 or so years ago. And in those Dharma talks, I mentioned a vow that I developed, a kind of a modern version of the vows to help us rouse this bodhicitta, or the mind of awakening, and to see it all the way through. My dear Dharma in the sister, my dear sister in the Dharma, not Dharma in the sister. Well, maybe that's true too, but sister in the Dharma, Tina, sure. Tina, I believe you're there. Could I ask you to read those vows a bit slowly, as many are not native English speakers? Are you there, Tina?
Tina, please
Yeah,
unmute yourself.
I did. Okay. I did unmute myself, and here I am, and I will read the vows. I vow here, now, and for the rest of my life to devote myself to practice. This includes living a wholesome life, being mindful moment to moment, doing daily zazen and retreats when possible. I will do my best to support the Sangha community. I take responsibility for my actions in body, speech, and mind, and for my own health and well-being. I recognize there may be times when I lose heart. Thus, I vow to continue this practice in all earnestness, no matter what.
Thank you, Tina.
You're welcome.
If anyone is interested, that is found in the Dharma talks for the exhortations for those who do rouse the doubt. 10 years ago, it's on our website someplace. If you find it helpful, as Tina has, to regularly recite it, to keep your mind in that place, so to speak, to nourish this bodhicitta. If you find it helpful, please make use of it.